Are you recording? Yes, I see you.
Yes, I just started recording. Okay, here's Trevor. Now people are still coming in, so. Okay, one last time, members of the public want to speak in public comment, please use the raise your hand button on your screen. If you don't have video going, go to participants and look there. You should be able to find a way to let me know. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 1906, excuse me. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Joe, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
Sure, Walt.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty, and
justice
justice for all.
for all.
I would like a moment of silence, please. Okay, we're going to go ahead with the next agenda item. No one raised their hand for public comment that I could see. We're going to look for approval of minutes of the 3:10 meeting. Did you all get a copy of those later yesterday or today? Is there any?
Yes.
Have a motion to accept the minutes?
I have corrections, please.
Yeah, I know. We have to get the motion first, Amy, and a second, and then
I'll make a
have
motion.
discussion.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All right, Amy, go ahead.
Okay. Under the amendments for February 12th, 2021 notes, the date should be changed to February 10th. The meeting was on the 10th. And
Correct, it was
please,
on
as
the
I
10th.
mentioned last month, remove seconded by Amy Fotopoulos. I did not second it. The video would demonstrate that, but the video is
Okay.
not posted. Under agenda item number 4, there's a typo in the account number. There's a 3 at the beginning of it. It should read 10450500 for the Parks and Rec self-sustaining. Do you see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
I'm also acting as recording secretary tonight, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry,
Give
so
me,
let me know
time to
afterwards
catch
if you
up.
want me to send you my marked up. Okay, thank you. Under new business, the language here is not quite clear, where it says after publication, public hearing is held within 2 weeks, could be April 2nd. It should be there is a 2-week lead time for publication.
Yes, that's correct.
And if it gets published on the 2nd, the 7th, 8th, or 9th would be the town hall.
Yep,
And in the last sentence of the same paragraph, the Board of Finance meeting was not scheduled for April
14th.
9th. It was scheduled for
right.
April 14th.
We had
Yep,
the same
exactly.
correction there.
Okay. Okay. On page 2, the third paragraph, the third new paragraph, Amy Fotopoulos questioned an update if people could gather. Please add for a referendum. I wasn't asking about gathering. I was specifically asking if people would be permitted to gather for a referendum.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah,
Amy?
sorry, I'm still going. I
Okay,
don't know
there's
if you want to
There's a lot on
change
this one to change.
this. Okay. But I noticed in the next sentence, it says that you replied the meeting will be the same as last year, and that's not quite accurate for what you said. You had said that you had not received updates as to whether it will be the same as last year or whether people will be able to have a vote.
Yeah, it would.
Um,
The intent of my sentence there was to say it was virtual, because that's all it could be, Amy. So that's what
No,
my
the
intent is.
referendum, but the referendum, I had asked about the referendum, and I went back and
okay.
listened to it. And
Got you.
that's not what you said. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
because we were
I
talking
didn't
about
know-
referendum.
Yeah, never mind.
Okay. And in the last paragraph on that page, Amy Fotopoulos inquired about recording board meetings. I didn't inquire about recording. I inquired about who posts the recording of the board meetings. And
You're talking about
Walter
the-
had shared the last paragraph on the page 2.
Yeah,
It says Amy Fotopoulos inquired about recording board meetings. That's not what I said. I inquired about who posts the recordings of the board meetings. And you had advised, Walter, that it was IT or the mayor's office and offered to follow up with the mayor's office.
Yeah.
It also says here incorrectly that apparently I found not all board meetings are recorded. Again, that is not what I said. I said that some meetings are posted on YouTube. Some are not. It's not about the recording. It's about the posting of the recordings. So I
And you
want to be
mean-
clear with that.
And you mean where they're posted?
No, I clearly explained that some meetings are posted. There's an inconsistency. Some of the recordings are posted to the YouTube channel and some are not posted at all. So I want to make sure that that's captured here, because I think for the public who might not have been at the meeting, it's important for them to understand that while the meetings are recorded, they're not all posted on YouTube. The February 10th meeting, for example, which I noticed was not posted, I flagged because I had wanted to go back and watch that recording. Other meetings are posted, that one was not. Does that make sense?
Okay. We'll follow up on
So,
that.
okay, I just want to make sure that that's clear in the minutes, please, because the minutes as currently written do not reflect what I said.
Yeah, actually, can you email me what you want to said there? I mean, you explained it all. And this way, because I'm not taking shorthand, maybe, and I'll probably
No,
work
that's
off the
fine. I'm
recorder.
happy to send it to you. I'm happy to
Okay.
send it to you. I just want to make sure it gets clarified, please. Thank you so much, Walter.
Okay. I myself have a couple. Under new business, at the first part of it, should be the town council has passed the budgets for the town and the Board of Education. And where it says town hall, that should be public hearing. And on the next sentence, it says its budget is published. It should be budgets, plural, and are published. Again, replace town hall with public hearing. And also, Amy, where that part of the referendum, guess that would be town meeting. I'll look on that. It's either town meeting or it's public hearing. So I'll clarify that also. That's all I have. Anybody else have amendments to the minutes? Okay, can we have a vote for approval? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And please unmute yourself if you're on the board.
Aye.
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 I'll abstain. Am I seated?
Yes, you are, Joe. Right now you are. If Larry Tripp comes in, then he takes the seat, but otherwise you are seated.
Excellent. I'll abstain.
Okay. All right, the next item we're going to go forward on the agenda. I would like consent from the Board of Finance to skip down to the Finance Director's report, and we'll have that done before we get into deliberations on the two budgets. Anybody
Make a
object?
motion, so moved. Make a motion to switch agenda items order, rather.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Greg, you want to unmute yourself and give the report?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'll keep this brief because I know you want to get right to budget deliberations. This is the finance update for March. Expenditures on a cash basis are 67.6% of budget. On a straight line basis, they would be expected to be at 75%. Salaries are within budget. All town departments are within the 75% straight line expenditure pattern. Revenues are at 91% of budget. Taxes overall in all categories are at 98.5% of budget, with current taxes at 99%. Current tax collections are approximately 250,000 ahead of where they were this time last year. Aging, youth agency, fire marshal, and parks and rec revenues are lagging behind. Overall, on a cash basis, expenditures total $70.7 million, revenues total $94.4 million, leaving the town with a positive cash flow of $23.7 million. Any questions?
Greg, just a clarification on the revenue and the expenditures. We still got a full quarter to go of expenses
Yes,
without much revenue coming in. So that 23 million difference between the two, that's where it's going to be mostly eaten up with the expenses for the fourth quarter.
that's correct. We still have about $11 million in revenues uncollected. So I expect the majority of that coming in, except for perhaps like those agencies and departments that I had mentioned beforehand.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Greg? Okay, Greg, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're going to stick around though. We may need you later.
Oh yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. The next order of business is deliberations. Both budgets have to be voted on separately. So the first motion will be deliberation and a vote to propose town budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021, ending June 30th, 2022, in the amount of $39,259,124. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Okay. Open for discussion. Anybody want to discuss this?
I had a couple of questions, but they were 5-year capital plan related.
That's not really germane to this motion, Diane.
Okay, that's fine.
Do that at another meeting.
I have
All
my
right.
hand raised.
Barbara?
Yes. Well, what I wanted to say was that this was a pretty interesting year. Both portions of the budget I felt were well prepared and very reasonable proposals. The town council obviously thought so too, and the mayor was on board. The public comment that we did hear when it was open to the public was also very positive on the budget. It's pretty bare bones, so I wouldn't presume to reduce any of those requests, but in thinking about ways that we could possibly lower the mill rate a little bit, what I would ask you to ponder is, in light of the lower mill rate, ostensibly a lower mill rate, we're thinking about the reevaluations of people's homes. So they'll actually probably be paying more in taxes for their assessments. I know the houses in my neighborhood are going through the roof as well. It's got to be the same all over our town. And in thinking about also the fact that with the last audit report, we had a surplus. Perhaps there is a way to maybe mitigate some of the hardship that people are feeling with this COVID recovery. I mean, a lot of people are doing okay, but a lot of people aren't. And thinking about people paying, I don't know, sometimes just a little bit of money helps to make the difference between paying bills and having to decide what bill to pay. So what Amy and I are recommending is an offset, since we don't want to take any money away from either portion of the budget. And if we moved $500,000 from the unassigned fund balance, that would still leave us with our 2-month cushion that the auditors recommend. And it might help mitigate the hardship that some of our citizens are feeling as we recover from this. So I ask you to keep that in mind as we continue our
Are you,
deliberations. I just feel like it was a tough year, and when the chips are down, it's nice to know that your town steps up, and we can do it. That's the main part. We can do it.
anybody, are you offering an amendment there? Because I'm not sure what you're asking for falls within the purview of the Board of Finance. You're actually requesting changing in the revenue and the like. And that's not part of the 5 areas that we can make adjustments to on the budget.
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally, you'd
No, we don't have
add
the
that into-
authority to do what you're doing, what you're saying,
Yeah.
Barbara.
But I mean, I'm well aware that we have to dump it into one of the 5 buckets if we did anything.
Yeah, and it doesn't fit into any of those 5 buckets. Greg, do you want to opine on that? Greg Ossipro,
Yes.
do you,
Well,
Barbara, and I'm,
the fact that we did realize a surplus last year, it was well documented. However, all of that money had been spoken for and allocated for specific purposes. So basically, our fund balance remained the same as it was in fiscal year 19. It didn't grow. But what is happening now is when you figure out how many months or percentage of the that the fund balance is compared to the budget, you have a numerator that's constant, but now we have a denominator that's going from 103 million to 105 million. So the quotient becomes lower. So without running those numbers, I would be remiss to use any fund balance at this point, but that's my opinion. Obviously, you folks need to make that decision yourself. But again, I'm not sure that's, again, like Walter said, is within your purview at this point.
Yep. Can I ask a question, please?
go ahead, Amy.
At the audit meeting, I had noted that Maloney and Sable's audit team lead, Mike Van D, I won't even try to pronounce his last name, said that there was an unassigned balance in the general fund of 20.1 million. Has
Right.
that changed?
No,
Because so
no,
if
because
so,
we realized $4 million surplus or $4.4 million surplus on the town side alone, and that was all allocated. That was assigned. We have an assignment
Okay.
of fund balance for COVID and school roof and a host of other projects that the mayor had laid forth, and it was duly ratified by both the Board of Finance and the town council. And we're
thank you.
spending down that money as we speak.
Okay, so I will just point out that I looked, and based on the proposed budget for this year, were we to adopt it as the town council put forward and send that to referendum. 2 months of expenses for that, based on that 2021-2022 proposed budget as it currently stands, would be about 17.5 million. So again, to Barb's point, I will just point out that that should continue to leave us with a healthy amount left in the unassigned balance of the general fund. We're just pointing that out for consideration before we vote.
Amy and Barbara, I'll repeat what Greg said. It's not within our purview to do that.
I understand. Yep.
Actually, if you look at the budget, we are currently, the plan is to use already $750,000 of the unassigned fund balance. So that's already in there.
Barbara, you had your hand up? And then Joe.
No, I had my hand up from before.
Okay, so you want to take it down, please?
Oh, yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sure this was covered at another meeting. I was just curious. What is the expected impact to the average taxpayer at the mill rate in this proposed budget? Is there an expected increase or decrease? Because we should have some sort of a reference for that, based on the current audit and all that sort of stuff. Expected.
Greg, do you have that figure at all?
Yes, just bear with me for a second. Based on this budget and the average residential homeowner could expect to pay $24.67 less than last fiscal year, because with this mill rate, we are decreasing it by 2.47%. And the average residential home, and frankly, that's in an appendix within the budget, the mill rate calculation, it's there. So the average residential home is $222,350.
And that's in the current reassessment, the reval?
The current reval, that's correct.
Okay, it was just for clarification. I just wanted, Thank you.
Sure.
Barbara, did you just want discussion here, or do you want a full amendment to the budget? Well, I guess you can't have the full amendment because it's outside of our purview.
Yeah, if it's outside our purview, I can't really make an amendment about
Okay.
it, but
Any other discussion on the town budget? All in favor of passing the budget as read, 39,259,124. Please signify by saying yes. Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the town budget has passed unanimously. We're going to move on to the Board of Education budget. Just so the Board Finance knows, we have several members of the Board of Ed here, as well as the superintendent. So if you have questions about the budget, we do have people here that could answer them. The motion I'm putting on, deliberation and vote on the proposed Board of Education budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $65,846,024. Have a second.
So moved.
Discussion. Any discussion, questions at all on this budget? Go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. I don't have questions. I just have a couple comments that I thought were helpful as I thought about the budget. I attended all of the Board of Ed budget presentations that the superintendent and the Board of Ed and the principals gave. I don't know if everybody here joined all of them, but there was quite a lot of information shared, and a couple things stuck with me that I think are critical to consider for the upcoming year. One of the things is that the Board of Ed budget increase is driven by a couple of items. One is professional services and the other is other services. Within those categories, special education is a key subdriver, if you will. And there are a couple things that are happening that I thought were very eloquently conveyed in the presentation materials. One is that there has been a huge impact to PPT meetings. For those of you that don't know, those are parent and professional and teacher meetings. Anytime a student has an IEP or a 504, the parents can call a PPT meeting with the staff at any time. And those require multiple administration representatives attending, and they're very time consuming. In past years, the number of PPTs annually was anywhere from like 1,400 to 1,800. Over the past year, the number of those meetings has exploded, signifying that there's a lot more expected of our staff in order to accommodate the needs of our community and our students. By end of year this year, the projected number was 3,200 at the time of those budget meetings. So nearly double what we've seen in past years. I think that's important to note. The number of students in special education in our town is going up. It's on the rise. While the district saw some students declassified, there were actually a number of new students added for the coming year, an increase of 14 students and 21 active referrals. Again, all of those require a number of meetings, in some cases evaluations, quite a lot of staff time. Another thing that I noticed in the materials that were shared is that research is suggesting that students are going to have significant social emotional challenges upon their return to school in the fall. So suffice to say that it's going to be a year where we need to ensure that we are staffing appropriately, and it's not a year that would be wise for us to see staffing reductions. Having reviewed the budget carefully, I found that the Board of Ed budget is very thorough. It was very thoughtfully put together. There is not a lot of wiggle room in that budget. And I say that as someone who went through and nickel and dimed through the budget last year to identify recommendations for how to cut $1 million worth of services and staff. The increase that is being requested is modest in light of past years and in light of all of the implications for COVID, the incremental distance learning platforms, the incremental staff needed to support social emotional learning, all of these pose challenges. And I think the board has done a wonderful job at putting forward a budget that can adequately meet those needs. The budget also needs to reflect inclusion of some of the items that were temporarily paused last year to make those $1 million worth of cuts realized. And those were always intended to be short-term, not permanent. So I will be supporting this budget as it currently stands. The town council unanimously voted to approve it, and I hope that each of you have also made a similar determination. But again, just wanted to share that context with you in case it's helpful. Thank you.
Anybody else want to have a discussion on the Board of Ed budget? I would like to just echo what Amy says on how well prepared this budget was. I have, and she knows, and a lot of the board members know how much work the members of the Board of Ed and the superintendent's office, as well as all the way down to the staff of the various schools. So I want to recognize that and thank you all for that. No one has any further points to make on the Board of Ed budget discussion. I'll move for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the Board of Ed budget passes as adopted by the Board of Education. That would give a total town budget, combining the town and the Board of Ed, for $105,105,148. Greg, can you check my math on that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move on to new business, which is basically And Mayor, please, I think you're there, chime in if I don't have it correctly. We will be putting these figures into Spectrum to be published in the next day or two. Then there will be a town meeting, which will set, in theory, will set the date for a referendum. I do know that Governor Lamont has gotten permission from the state legislature to extend some of the executive orders that were in effect last year. I'm not sure whether that will affect the ability to vote. Mayor, do you have any information on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first, thank you to the board for their approvals tonight for our budget on both the town and the Board of Education side. I did speak with our town attorney, Randy DeBella, and we are going to have a referendum. There'll be allowances for, as always, for absentee ballots as well as in-person voting.
Mayor, would that be absentee ballots, no excuse ballots? Just anybody could get one if they want?
We're checking now with the state and we're checking with our voter registrars on what we're terming as absentee ballots, and that we're gonna posting as soon as we get confirmation.
Okay. The next part of the budget process, assuming the budget passes, the Board of Finance will have to meet to officially set the mill rate. If either budget fails, the day after the referendum, we have to have a board meeting to make adjustments to the failed budget. So whatever date that referendum is, please keep the following evening free as much as possible. Anybody else have any questions or new business they want addressed? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
So
I'll
moved.
move. This is Barb.
Second,
Second, if I have to.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it, and all those that came from the outside, Board of Ed and all for attending.
Thank you for your support. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Walter. Thank you so much.
We so much appreciate it.
Hey, everybody have a good, safe couple of days in the future. I'm
Thank
gonna end
you.
the meeting
Good
now.
night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Fantastic.
Bye.